A pleasure, delight to be part of this. I'm sorry that I can't be there in person, but I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm grateful that Nigel is able to celebrate, and we can all celebrate with him in one way or another. Let me just give a few remembrances and perspectives about Nigel. I was going to, at one time, present part of the fest would be some of my own work, but I think this is much more appropriate given that Mike O'Shea has done part of that, and in keeping with the idea of what some of us can best contribute to this occasion. And so let me begin. Bashert is a Yiddish word that means destiny. It is most often used to identify people who see themselves as soulmates, usually members of an engaged couple, implying we were destined for each other. And sometimes there are people like me who will use it to describe a friend, a colleague. I must admit, very few of my colleagues have been worthy of that term, but Nigel is one of them. I think I first recognized the word bashert for our relationship when I realized that we shared perceptions of the world and of each other. We clicked. Our mutual admiration resulted in frequent and often important mutual assistance. I am enormously appreciative. Let me offer a few examples. The first one is that Nigel introduced me to the idea of multi-centered studies that we could initiate on our own. The Framingham study, the Tecumseh study, the National Cancer Institute's SEER study, surveillance, epidemiology, and then results. These were all large NIH-initiated studies. Nigel created his own neonatal brain hemorrhage study when he wanted to collect data from central New Jersey primarily. I was intrigued that he initiated this. He recruited investigators and institutions, and he kept enthusiasm high, enabling him to complete all the needed tasks. Resulted in his book, based on the neonatal brain hemorrhage study. And after watching him be so successful, he and I began to talk about the next step. His spending a sabbatical with me helped progress that desire to work together. And although Mervyn Sussa felt badly about Nigel moving to East Lansing, I saw it as a positive move for our working together. It presented an opportunity that we could begin almost a regional study. It was a concept I hadn't thought about before. At one time, I wanted to expand what I could do in New England and not depend on other people. But it was clear I needed help, and Nigel was the person to help me create what our vision and put it into perspective. And then Mike O'Shea joined us, and we were a triumvirate. I think that we accomplished more with Nigel responsible for the Lake Michigan hub, and Mike O'Shea responsible for the North Carolina hub, and I responsible for the New England hub. It clicked. We worked together. And following on Nigel's model of maintaining enthusiasm on the part of our colleagues who were collecting the data. To me, that was so important. I saw how Nigel did that. I think I did it in my own way, but based on his success, I learned a lot. Let me go on to Nigel's emotional intelligence. There's the issue of cognitive intelligence and emotional intelligence, and maybe they shouldn't be dichotomized, but it's clear that Nigel had this capability, and it could help me when I needed help with a shared colleague. He could guide me in helping to achieve our mutual goals. It was sometimes difficult, but Nigel was the person who could come to provide the assistance that I needed. Nigel and I shared a sense of generativity, that we were responsible for the next generation. His training program in perinatal epidemiology exemplifies that, and some of the people who will be presenting today. And we carried that through with the LGAN study. That I think I was one of the achievements that I am most proud of as a group. And this is largely Mike O'Shea's and Nigel's contribution, that 2/3 of our initial 100 papers each had a unique author. So that 65% or so of all of our papers were by somebody who had a single, they were the first author of just one paper. And this helped, I think, guide a whole generation of neonatologists and epidemiologists to move up the academic ladder. Yes, the LGAN study had a certain appreciation, or many people appreciated the LGAN study for what it was, and to see somebody who was a first author of that was really a positive move. Nigel and I continue now with our appreciation of randomized clinical trials. And so, though neither of us is responsible for a multi-centered study, we want to get a better understanding and appreciation of what is now termed real-world data pragmatic clinical trials. So our collaboration continues. I wanted to end with the concept of why Nigel has been so successful as a leader and successful as a friend. Each of us can be scored or classified on each of our abilities. I use the word gift to identify an ability that places a person at the very top centiles, the top tail. Mervyn Sussa was able to appreciate Nigel's multiple gifts, and I do too. And I believe that it's the conglomeration of all his capabilities or gifts is what allowed him to be so successful and warmly appreciated. I am grateful for his friendship, for his assistance, and to be able to share my thoughts. So thank you so much.